everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I am on today to alter some affirmation cards that I have here and some magazine postcards into embellishments that I can use for my underwater journal. So I am using some digital pieces from Which Craft Do You Do for today's project and for the journal I'm making. So the links to those will be down below, as will any other links mentioned. Found these start pages in a wildlife book, and I'd like to use the circles on that to alter these affirmation cards that I have. The circles on the cards are a similar size, so I thought it'd be fun to use them, and the colours on them are really nice, and I think they'll go well in my underwater journal. So I'm just sorting through and picking the designs that I think will look good. I've chosen these 3 for today. Now I'm just cutting out the underwater themed circles. I've got a die there that fits quite nicely around them. I hate cutting out circles, it's so hard to get them smooth and even, so I thought I would use the die to cut out my underwater pieces. Initially I cut one of the pictures out there, the shark, and it fits nicely over the circle on the card. And then I decided that I'd cut a few of the circles out of the cards. Then I can figure out what I want to do. So it fits quite nicely, the die around the circle that's on the card too, which is the little affirmation piece. So I just do that with a few more. Now I'm deciding what back pieces I want. I decided I'd use a card for each one as a backing as well, so that the bit with the cutout acts like a bit of a window. So with the first one, I'm sticking the top onto the bottom now, just using my Helmar tacky glue for that. And then we've got the shark that I die cut out, the shark circle, and he'll fit nicely into that circle. Initially I was just going to stick the shark over the circle on the one card and just have it single layered, but I really liked the windowed effect here, so I decided to do that instead. So for the other two, I haven't die cut the circles out, which you'll see in a minute. So just grabbing the backgrounds for those. And then choosing the pictures that I think will go nicely in the windows. So I cut the crab out, but I don't like the way he fits in the window there. It cuts some of his little legs off, so I decide on the orca and the seahorse. So I'm cutting around the circles here just roughly and leaving a bit of an overhang, and we'll apply our glue to the overhang part. So here I'm just adding the tacky glue to that overhang, and then I can stick the front piece on top of that, and that way I can get it situated where I want it before sticking the back piece on. So very simple, but I love the patterns and the colours that are on the affirmation cards. I just didn't necessarily want them just as affirmation cards, so thought they'd go nicely with these circles, and it was a great way of using the book page as well, the pictures. So now applying glue to the whole back side before I stick the top on. Make sure it's all stuck around the edges. And I repeat that process with my last one. Now I need to cover up the copyright and that's on the back of the affirmation cards. And I've found the paper that I used for my last project for this journal. I did some ink blending and I'm using offcuts and I'm stamping on those with my Make a Word stamp set from BB Craft. I'll link that down below. So I stamped the word flow. Now I'm stamping peace, but I only have the one E, so I have to use that again to put the E on the end. Must get another set of these so that I have a couple of E's and A's and that sort of thing. So I've got the word peace and I'm now just making the word listen to stamp on the last little piece here. I'm just using my distress ink to stamp these words. Just checking how big I need to cut it so that it will cover up the little words on the back of the card there. And it fits in real nicely, actually. The ink blending that I did goes really nice with the colour that's on the back of these cards. So that was fortunate. The reason why I chose those words to stamp as well is the little affirmations that I punched out of the cards have those words in them. And I've decided that I will use the affirmation as well. So now I just stick down the words on the other two cards, just to cover up that writing. Otherwise, the backs are really nice journaling spaces. Just inking around the outside of the affirmation pieces that we die cut out. And inking around the outside of my journal cards. Trying not to get too much ink in on the picture at all. I just want to do the edges real lightly, just to define them a little, and especially for the journal cards because they're sandwiched together, it helps bring them together. Using my small hole punch here to punch a hole into the corner of my journal card and the top of my little affirmation to make it into a little tag. And I have a bit of wool here and I'm just separating the threads. Just cutting it into little pieces so I can thread it through both cards. Then I'll tie a double knot in them so it acts as a little dangling tag on top of my journal card. And of course I'll do that for the other two and they're all done. So nice and easy, but I really love the way these have turned out. Next, I've got this page. It has these, they're like postcards and they're Christmas ones. And I'm just going to cut them down because I want the underwater ones. As you can see, I've left them joined to the other part of the page. They do have perforations so you can tear them off. I did rule lines because I was going to hand cut them, then I remembered how crooked I cut, so I decided to use my cutter to cut them to make sure they're straight. So I'm bending them there where the perforation is, and I'm keeping that extra part on. Now one of these will be a page flip, so it will stick to a page and flip open, and then the other one's going to be a floating pocket. So I'm just deciding which one I want to do what with. Have a page there which is a lined page, and that's from the Oceanist Collection set 1, I think. And that is Witchcraft Do You Do Digital, which will be linked down below. And I'm going to use that as the writing space on both of my cards. Now, because there's perforations between the postcard and the magazine page, I'm using a bit of washi tape just to reinforce that. So if it's flipped open a lot or anything, then it hopefully won't come apart as easy. I do apply glue under the washi tape to make sure it sticks. And then I just trim the overhang off. Now I'm using my Helmer's 450 glue as the card is quite glossy. I think it will adhere the paper down a little better. Just sticking my lined page down. I'm not going over the sort of hinge part. I just think it bulks things up too much when you do that, so I leave that uncovered. Just cutting off the excess. That makes a nice big journaling spot there. Then I've got these little journal card pieces from Which Craft Do You Do as well. And they seem to fit just right on that other little part that I want to cover. And have gorgeous little pictures on them as well. So I didn't have to trim much off there to get it to fit nicely. There is a bit of leeway there too because of the washi tape. I don't mind seeing the colour of that in between. So again, I'll just stick it down and then cut any overhanging bits off. Just adds a lot more journal space there. Using my glue rubber, I always get bits of glue on the side that I don't want glue on. And I've got this photo album that I've just put some of my little cutout pieces in. And I have these titles from book pages. That one says The Coral Seas, and it looks like a reef coral in the bottom of that postcard. So I thought that one would be perfect to cover up the Merry Christmas that's on this card. Just cutting it down to fit. It took a lot longer to cut it down than what you see because I just cut so crooked. I keep having to cut more and more bits off. It's still crooked too, but that's me. Things are always crooked. And then I remembered that I had these little fish that I had fussy cut out of books, so I thought I'd try and find one that I'd like to put on the inside here, just to jazz up the writing space a little bit. It's a funny looking fish, that one. And then just lightly around the edge with my ink. So now we're on to the next one, and I want to make this into a pocket. So again, I'm just reinforcing where the perforations are with the washi tape and the glue. Because I know they fit, I'm going to use another one of the Which Craft Do You Do journal card pieces there to cover the back side of my pocket. It will be the piece that creates the pocket when we fold it up. Now I need the writing space underneath that as well. So I was going to use the lined page, but the lines are spaced a bit more than what they are on the journal card, and I'd rather have the lines like even together because I'm fussy like that. So I grab another one of the little journal card pieces. I'm hoping I can situate it so that the picture's underneath the pocket so we don't see that, and still have enough aligned area to cover the rest of it. Don't have to cover the whole background, it's just a little bit that slips under the pocket so you don't notice the underneath of the card. And that worked just. So again, I'm just inking around the edges of my lined page pieces. I'm not inking the front of the postcard. I like the clean look of them, so I'm leaving them stark white like they are. Now I can stick my pocket down. So I just apply the glue on the top and the bottom of the pocket piece there. And fold it over and press it down. Now it's quite a tight pocket, but that's all right. I don't want to put anything too bulky in there. So I'm looking at what I've got here, and I made these journal cards in a previous video last year when I began this project. And I think one of those will go really nicely into that pocket. It's a little bit of a tight fit to begin with, but it does slip in there. So I think that's a wrap for today. So we'll just do a recap on what we've made in this video. So firstly, I used these cards. They're like affirmation cards or something. Peace and Harmony. Yeah, Affirmations Publishing House. I had a stack of these. They're pretty, so I did keep them to alter. But I found, fortunately, that the colours and patterns in a lot of these went really nicely with what is in the journal. And because I had found the page that had the circles on in a wildlife book recently, the circles seemed to fit quite nicely in the circles that I cut out that had the affirmations on. I was going to just put these aside and use them as standalone tags or something, which you could. But then I thought, well, why not add them to these journal cards? They go quite nicely and the colours are beautiful. So that worked out really, really well. So I've got this one with the seahorse. And it says, deep breathing helps you flow with the current. So on the back, of course, it had the copyright and everything back here. So I wanted to cover that. So I stamped the word flow to go with flow on there. And I stamped that onto the offcut of some inking I did for my background journal card that I did in my last video that had the octopus on it that went into the CD cover. Yeah, I had the offcuts of that, so I'm glad I kept those because they worked out beautifully, I think, to stamp. And I used my stamp set from BB Craft where you make up the words yourself. I'll try and remember to link that down below if I can find it for you in case you want to go and grab one. We have that one. And I just love the way it looks. And then on the back, I really love the background as it was. It's absolutely beautiful, easy to write on. So I just left that as is. So you can just move that aside. That's why I tied the knot loosely. You saw I put a little bit of glue on there just to hold the knot a bit better because I did find that the thread was coming apart even with a double knot. So yeah, really love the way these turned out. Then we've got this one that says, listen to the silence. It has so much to say, and that has an orca on it. And then on the back, I put listen. And then we've got this one that says, make peace with your mind. It's your best ally. And so that one's got peace. So I think they're going to be beautiful additions to this journal. I should have gone on and just made all the other circles with the other bugs and everything with these cards as well because I really love the way they've turned out. But I've still got piles of them that I can make in the future. And then the second thing I decided to do was use these. They're like postcards that you get in your Australian Geographic magazine. And I like the fact that we had the turtles and the reef fish on that. So, oh, I haven't finished this one, I just realised. It doesn't matter, I'll do that afterwards. You'll get the picture. Of course, they said Merry Christmas, which I don't want. So I did cover this one over with books and words from that I cut from a book, the Coral Seas. I thought that went really nicely with that card. I didn't ink around the edge of that because it's so white around here. I thought I would just leave it white. Now this is going to be a flip out, so I left this side blank. That will stick to a page like that. You could even make it a pocket and slip something under there, which I might do. And then it will go like that. So I used the washi tape in the crease just to reinforce because it is perforated there and I don't want it to come apart. So yeah, it will sit on the page like that. We'll be able to open it up, heaps of journaling space, and can create a pocket if we want to when we put it on the page. So it's a great way to use that up. And then my second one, I made a floating pocket that I'll slip into another pocket, probably, or clip to a page. And I haven't covered up the Merry Christmas, so I will do that. I'll just find another word like this, or I'll stamp a word. So this, as I said, will be a standalone pocket. So we've got a little pocket in there. It's quite a tight pocket, so it had to be something quite thin that I put in there. I've covered it with the papers. I've used the Witchcraft Do You Do lined papers from the Oceanus collection. I think that's set 1. It says somewhere. Anyway, it will be linked below. And so I've used that to cover the backs of both for the writing space. So I thought I had made these cards ages ago. I'll try and remember to link that video down below. Each time I work on this journal, I'll try and link the videos related to it below, or a playlist. I might actually make a playlist for this journal. And then you can just go to that link and see all the videos on what I've made for it. But I did make these journal cards previously with the Witchcraft Do You Do Digital and some book pictures. I absolutely love the way they turned out. And this fits just, if I'm careful, into this pocket. And I think that looks really nice. Like that. And then it can slip into another pocket because I've kept it quite flat. So I really loved making all that. That was so much fun. Love using the Witchcraft Do You Do Digitals. Love using the book pages. So good to be able to repurpose those cards and these postcards from the magazine. A lot of fun finding stuff like that and figuring out how I can incorporate it into my journals. So I hope you enjoyed that and it gave you some ideas. Please take care of yourselves and I will see you again soon. Bye.